Hi guys, it's Frankie from Frankie Tech. Good to see you guys again, and I'm here with an early morning video by request. So I've been seeing a lot in the comments here after posting my in-depth initial review of the Redmi K30 that you guys want one thing first and foremost as soon as possible, and it is a speed test, and a speed test versus no less than the Honor V30 that I have with me here. Now, we'll be doing a more in-depth video between these two, but I figured, hey, by request and by demand, here you go, guys. This is your speed test. Now, I typically don't do these types of tests on my channel, but I want to kind of explore. It might be something interesting to see, considering the price point of this Redmi K30, which is coming in. This is the 4G variant coming in at around 1,600 yuan, so we're talking a very low price point versus an almost 3,200, almost a double price point versus this Honor V30. So what I want to answer here, I do know that with this Kirin 990 chipset, the same amount of RAM though, this will be an interesting test. But is this flagship processor going to actually be able to really double the performance of the 730 GBC here in the Redmi K30? So I have a number of apps opened right here, and I'm basically just going to go through, open each one, and just see which one opens first. And basically we're going to kind of look and see, depending on the points, how that goes. So let's get started here. And the first line of apps we can see are very basic, super easy to open apps. These phones should have no issues doing it. So let me get situated here and we'll get started. Okay, so I'm situated now, guys, and I have the first list of apps here, and we have no apps in memory, as you can see right there, and they're both using the same Wi-Fi as well. So let's get started with calendar in 3, 2, 1. Nearly identical there for both phones, and these apps should be pretty easy to go through. Let's do weather in 3, 2, 1. Once again, identical there. Gallery in 3, 2, 1. So it looks like the K30 opens slightly, sorry, the V30 opens slightly faster, but once again, negligible for these apps. 3, 2, 1. And that was ever so slightly faster on the V30. But let's face it, for all of these apps, and for these kind of very bare bones apps, the phones, whether you're using a 730G or the Kirin 990, are opening them almost identically fast. So now let's get into the kind of more social media apps here and see how they do. Spotify in 3, 2, 1. Okay, and then the K30 definitely got in there first, and not by too much, but still a little bit of a margin there. So that is, I would say, the first kind of official point I will give the K30. Now, I'm not doing point system here. I'm just doing this to share with you guys. But if you want me to implement some sort of point system in the future, I'll be happy to do so. YouTube in 3, 2, 1. And it jumped in. There we go. The V30 jumped in, and now we're definitely seeing this Kirin 990 in action. 3, 2, 1. And again, a quick jump in there on the V30. Instagram in 3, 2, 1. And actually much closer than I expected, but really you're kind of seeing it here across the board of all the social media apps. The Kirin 990 finally made its move, and it is pretty significant. But let's face it, is it double the price significant? All right, so let's go into Chrome now, going into my SoundCloud in 3, 2, 1. And just by a hair there, the V30 got in first, but much less of a difference there than I expected. Antutu benchmark in 3, 2, 1. There you go, the V30 in again, and you're now seeing it across the board here. A lot of these apps opening up just a little bit faster on the V30. Geekbench 5 in 3, 2, 1. And there you go. That one was almost like a half a second there. So Geekbench opened up. And so before we get into the games, I just want to say, here we go. Like, this is a good example where on the kind of first level of very basic apps, the 730G has no problem whatsoever opening these up. It's really a non-issue. It's kind of once you get into the more kind of heavy apps here that you start seeing a little bit of a difference. Those are negligible in daily use, but yes, they might add up over time where you, let's say, maybe save a couple seconds a day if you do these interactions enough. So now let's go into the games. This is where you kind of probably see the biggest difference here. And we're going to go into Alto's Odyssey. I'm going to wait until we are on the start page, on the kind of the loading page. Same for PUBG Mobile. And let's get started here. Alto's Odyssey in 3, 2, 1. All right, so it's a very close race here. And the sun is rising just slightly faster here on the V30. It's going to be a close one. Very close indeed. I think just by a hair the V30 is coming in. Oh, and that is almost identical. Let's see it. But just by a hair, you saw it there, the V30 tap to start showed up just first. So the V30 takes this one. And I'll just exit out of the app. And let's continue now to PUBG Mobile. This is going to take the longest period of time. So let's do it here in 3, 2, 1. And that was probably the closest I got to pressing identically there. This is not a scientific test, guys. And I never feel that these kind of speed tests are really scientific because there's so many optimizations you have to take into account here for these phones. But let's face it, they're very popular, and there we go, dude. The V30 jumped in maybe 2 seconds before the K30 did, and I missed it there, but you saw it already was ready to go on the display. And so there you go. You saw PUBG loading very fast on both phones. Now, is 2 seconds going to be worth double the price on your phones? Well, that's really the question that you need to ask. I think once you get to flagship phones and you have a very similar high price point, you're looking at flagship specs, okay, there may be even smaller differences between those. But here you're clearly looking at a 730G, which is a upper mid-range processor, and the Kirin 990 is essentially the best that Huawei has to offer. Is it really worth double the price? I don't know. And one last thing I want to do here is look at the camera and also the fingerprint scanner. So I'm going to move over to the front again, and let's have a look at this. Okay, so just opening the camera on both, you can see in 3, 2, 1. So it did open just a little bit faster here on the V30. And now let's do just a few shots. I want to compare the shutter speeds here between them in 3, 2, 1. Again. So just by a slight hair there, you see that the V30 is just a hair faster. It's almost like a millisecond difference. But once you do that a lot, you see it'll start taking its toll on the K30. And the 730G is a terrific processor, but it just can't handle in that way. Now let's do the other thing I wanted to test out here, which was the fingerprint scanner itself. So let's kind of open this up here. Now, 2 side-mounted fingerprint scanners on these phones. And so the easiest thing to do here will be to use my thumbs on opposite sides and do it from the side here. So let's get ready in 3, 2, 1. And you saw it there. Let's try that one more time. 3, 2, 1. Now it's hard to see which one comes first. Let's try it again. Ready? 3, 2, whoops. 3, 2, 1. I mean, there's less of an animation on the V30, but the K30, Redmi K30 comes in almost equally or even faster. Let's try that one more time. 3, 2, 1. So I would say that's almost identical there with a little bit of animation that you see on the Redmi K30 over the V30, but a negligible difference. And last but not least, let's wrap up here with just a reboot test. Now, you may be wondering, why don't you just do a power off test, Frankie Tech? Well, I can do that too, but honestly, I do rebooting of my phone probably more than anything else. If you want to see power off and on tests in the future, let me know. But for now, let's do a restart test and see which one comes in first. In 3, 2, 1. Identical time. There we go. Let's see how they do. And that's it for this quick video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Typically not my wheelhouse of doing speed tests. I gotta admit, I'm not a huge fan of speed tests. I think there's so many intangibles, so many variables to keep in mind for it. But let's face it, guys, you asked for it and I delivered. So there you go. That was my kind of initial speed test. I'll be happy to do revisions in the future of them. But there you go. The Redmi K30 versus the Honor V30, and there goes the V30 in first, K30 missing just by a few seconds. And that's kind of the story of this video. It's been just by a few seconds that we've seen this V30 jump in ahead of the K30. And so the question I pose to you guys is that going to be a deal? I mean, to all you guys who love these kind of videos, is that a deal breaker? Does that mean that the Redmi K30 is now a lesser option? I think the point here I'm trying to make, guys, is that this is a flagship processor and this is not. This is a mid-range processor, but it still brings a lot to the table, and considering the price point of almost less than, it's pretty much half the price, entry-level yuan of this Honor V30 coming in at 3,299 yuan versus 1,599. There are sacrifices you're going to have to make, but one of the sacrifices you don't make is with that 120 hertz refresh rate. And that is something that I just feel, in terms of these kind of, the speed factor of using a phone is also something you shouldn't forget about. I do feel it just is very buttery smooth, and it just feels faster in daily use than this 60 hertz LCD display. Now, as you see in the speed test, perception is another thing. And once you start using apps, yes, they do load faster. And even downloading apps, I felt loaded faster on the V30. So that's really a question for another day, and we'll explore that obviously in the full comparison. But I hope you enjoyed this kind of quick speed test here, guys. Thanks for watching it. If you liked it, give me that thumbs up. And if you love the content of Frankie Tech, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon for future updates. Thanks for watching, guys. I got some stuff to do today. Flying out to Taiwan tomorrow, so I will be bringing some of these phones with me for a continual review. Excited about that trip. I definitely need the break. Anyways, thanks for watching, and this is where I leave you by saying, this is Frankie Tech, signing off. Have a good one.